filling this out. And hey, maybe the coaches, if they are filling it out, they love Kalani Sitake. Like, I know that sounds crazy on the surface, but that's kind of a thing. Like, go back to the day when Lavelle Edwards was, building something special for BYU football. 1984, the coaches poll then, coaches loved Lavelle, and they were respecting what Lavelle, the man, was building. Yeah, they didn't respect maybe the logo of BYU because how can this team from the WAC win a national title? There was respect for Lavelle. And I think that same can be said for Kalani Sitake. You go to these events like the Big 12 Media Day, and there's no coach speaking ill of Kalani Sitake. There's no one really. I haven't met anyone, honestly, in the media, in just college football circles where they have bad things to say about Kalani Sitake. So I think that he's building up a program that's building an identity of being a tough physical football team that also gets some good quarterback play, no matter who the guy is. Because, again, to go 11-2 last year with a quarterback that, as we all know, it was up and down. It was a mixed bag with Jake. It wasn't perfection. Jake was very good last year, but it by no means was flawless. And to still get an 11-2 season with a quarterback that had basically a pick per game, I think that, BYU finds a way to get it done regardless of the quarterback under Kalani. They've done a nice job. And over the last 5 years, BYU football has won 45 games. They're averaging 9 wins per season this decade. This isn't just a flash-in-the-pan program, but they're looking to build on that into the Big 12 and become an annual contender in this conference. Coming up a little bit later this show, we'll have Phil Steele join the program. He's going to break down BYU in 2025, his thoughts on the Big 12 conference, kind of give that conference-wide look, perspective, and where BYU fits into the national conversation. And, Phil's another guy that has a lot of respect for Kalani Sitake. And, again, I think that's what ties into these coaches' top 25 polls. Coming up on Monday, we'll have the AP top 25 poll, which that one I think has more weight. But sometimes the media wants to boost up certain teams. I don't expect BYU to be in the AP top 25. I'd be really surprised if they're in that, because I think the media just says, oh, Jake's gone, instantly tank. Like, I will say, I think that I would say, a game or two difference maybe. With Jake, I would have said, 9-3. With this new quarterback, I'd still say the low end 7-5. Which still, you could still be a better football team than last year. It's just the margins are so thin in the Big 12. That's the thing we got to remember, too, is that you could be a better football team at 8-4 this year than what you were last season, but because, again, the margins are thin in the Big 12, you might say, oh, that was a step back. Like, I think there's nuance there to that, but I don't expect the AP top 25 pollsters to have BYU, but we shall see. And these polls do matter, as even though they're frustrating and they're infuriating. And honestly, I hope we get to a point where preseason polls don't exist in this sport, because I do think narratives get formed because of these things. But when you are in it, it helps the narrative. And let's call it what it is. It helps the perception and the starting point to go achieve your goals with that. Let's take a break. On the other side, we'll get BYU passing game coordinator Fesi Sitake next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
Jeff Kaplan. I'm energized by breaking news. First of all, because it's right now, and second of all, because in many cases the audience needs to know. There's no more important service that we can provide, and I find it critically important to get more details to the audience as quickly as possible. There's nothing more energizing than that for me. Not at all. The most important thing we do is breaking news. I am gratified that so many people listen to me every afternoon on KSL, but what they don't know is that there are so many people behind the scenes making it happen, checking on the traffic, answering the phones, making the calls, talking to the newsmakers. They're out in the street, into the field to get the raw information, and then putting it all together so that I can sit in front of a microphone and be a source of information every afternoon. But there are so many people who make it happen. That's what you don't know.
Ride Home with Jeff Kaplan, weekdays 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Let me ask you a question. You have a best friend? How big would it shock you if somebody told you that your best friend just killed somebody?
911, what's your emergency?
Someone on the other line said they kidnapped my son, and they're demanding $500,000.
On September 12th, 1995, 12-year-old McKay Everett disappeared from his home in Conroe, Texas. It was a crime that shocked the community because the suspect was so unlikely, so unexpected.
Former high-ranking police official. He'd run for sheriff at one point.
Law enforcement personnel were pretty much split down the middle over whether or not he actually did this.
And to this day, McKay's mother, Paulette, still feels that justice was never truly served.
I've asked myself so many times, what in the world happened?
Ransom is available now. Listen at ransompodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
On the surface, it seemed like just another Cinderella story.
A team that was predicted to finish dead last is now waiting to play the first round of the playoffs.
But Real Salt Lake's 2021 playoff run was so much more than what happened on the pitch.
Our club is burning to the ground.
This is the tip of the iceberg.
Making of a Moment, the RSL story, is available now.
I just kind of got chills right now thinking about it.
Follow us at makingamomentpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City.
It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Richie right to the rim, driving score!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Here's your host, Mitch Harper, on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday, KSL News Time, 1 o'clock here on the legacy home of the Cougars, and we have got to get out to the phone line as BYU football wrapped up scrimmage number 1 inside Lavelle Edwards Stadium, and joining us live right here on KSL News Radio is BYU passing game coordinator and wide receiver coach Fesi Sitake. Coach Sitake, thanks for joining me today, and I got to ask you, did the offense win the scrimmage today?
I'm gonna say no. So it wasn't a great day. As always, you got to watch film and take a deeper dive to kind of find out all those reasons. But I'll just say general observation. There's some guys most of our key guys who we expect to contribute. Got some reps. It's a fine line. You want them to stay, kind of keep them warm, but you don't want to risk any injury. And so I think that created some holes. And it's a good sign. For us as coaches, that we gotta keep narrowing and bridging that gap from our proven guys to those who are trying to earn a spot. And so defense, I felt definitely got the better of us today, but it's been a good back and forth all camp.
What was it that the defense did that just kind of, again, before you break down the film and dive into it this weekend, what do you think they did that caused some of the biggest issues for the scrimmage for the offense?
First off, just the feel. They had a good fast start, and I think one thing we can take away as coaches and some of the leaders on our offense, the rest of the group is just, hey, you got to get rid of that momentum as quick as you can, and they just came out with more energy, made a couple plays, and just kept compounding on that. They flew around more. We were pretty sloppy on a couple of drives, mainly with our 2s and 3s, just pre-snap stuff that just kind of kept that energy and that vibe down. And so that was, we were sloppy there. And so just kind of all those things factored in. There were flashes, and I told at least my group at the end, there were a lot of flashes today, but flashes don't win games, and we just have to be better on all those things we can control.
Talking with BYU passing game coordinator Fesi Sitake as the Cougars just wrapped up scrimmage number 1 inside Lavelle Edwards Stadium. And Coach, you brought up the flashes. I think that's kind of maybe a little bit of a theme I kind of look at with on the outside of the wide receivers. Outside of Chase, a lot of potential, a lot of talent in this receiver room. Are you seeing enough from your receivers that say it goes beyond flashes, that these are going to be week in, week out guys that you can count on in games?
Yeah, for sure. I feel, everyone knows the 3 that have been here, especially Chase, but JoJo and Parker, I know what they can do. But I would say right after that, Cody Hagan and Tiger Bachmeyer are the next 2 who have just solidified, what their role and involvement will be, and number of reps and all that stuff for everyone obviously is still to be determined. But those guys, I feel, have kind of moved their way the most, have had the most movement there. And then Reggie Frischknecht and Tay Nakua are those next two who are, kind of behind those guys. And so we still obviously got a couple weeks to kind of let all that sort itself out. But I think the group and kind of the depth is all starting to form. And yeah, we'll see how it goes from there.
Do you kind of have to, and again, it's just before you dive into the film to get a real sense of what transpired today, but do you kind of take a step back and go, you are going up against the number one defense in the Big 12 in a group that might be even better this year. Does that kind of weigh in your mind, or are you kind of like, just what are the initial thoughts that you're feeling and emotions with how the offense played right now?
Yeah, no, we take every day. We understand that. We know that mentality, and so I don't think that was a factor really. I think a huge part is just we're going to start formulating a more uniform game plan, and so we have to be very selective going against our defense. It's a fine line of how do we not out-trick ourselves where we can execute, but how do we do, run some plays that we know can work against our defense, but they've seen it so many times, right? And that's by no means an excuse. They just outplayed us, but I think that's one of those factors, and that's where I'm saying there's a big gap. Yeah. Is whatever position it is, as you're trying to prove a spot and you work your way into a traveling spot and starter, you got to be able to execute some of these plays and allow A-Rod to call whatever he wants without any doubt, and reservation of will we be able to execute that. And that's what we've had in the past, and I think that's what was lacking a little bit today. But like I said, whether we schemed something different and out schemed our defense, I don't think it's not so much that as an excuse. It's just we got to be better and sharper and more confident that our guys can execute whatever we throw in front of them.
I know you're overseeing the wide receivers but also the passing game coordinator. I got to imagine you're keeping tabs on QBs too. How did they perform? Like, what can you tell us about how the quarterbacks played and just your thoughts about them today, but then also this week in camp?
Yeah, in general, honestly, and I hate not giving like real concrete answers with some detail. Like I was so focused on just my guys and making sure we were aligned right and making sure our splits and all these things are perfect. But from, just at a glance, there were some really good balls thrown. We had a couple that were maybe sailed a little bit. There were times there were pressure. There's so many different little factors like the quarterbacks, because we have a big gap. There's a difference if you're going with the twos or with the threes. We have too much. There's too much disparity right now, and so that's another thing you got to factor in is who are their targets, who are they throwing to? What was the protection like, and so it's hard for me to just kind of give something concrete because play by play, I don't know what all those factors look like, but I know A-Rod and Matt will obviously have some coaching points for them and hold them accountable, but honestly, they're all doing what they've done the first 2 weeks, just solidifying the strengths of what they do well. And, I'm excited to see how it all unfolds. I know our guys are ready for whoever it is.
What was a highlight moment or two from your wide receivers today?
I think the first one off the bat, it was with our threes, but Trey Roberts broke a real long, probably 70, 75 yarder. I don't know if there's a broken coverage or not, but he was able to outrun the safety who had an angle, and so that was a highlight. I mean, the guy was handing out pass long cards about a month ago. So
he's Chase's brother, right?
Chase's little brother, yeah. So that was awesome to see. And then in the red zone period, while it was really dead, we were kind of in a funk. We were challenging guys to step up and make a play and create energy. It's the greatest way you can create energy, and Cody Hagan had a great, I don't know who threw the ball, but Cody Hagan had a great, inside fade and for a touchdown. So, those are two off the top just because I think those may have been our only 2 touchdowns.
Well,
so yeah.
Well, and I was going to follow up on Cody. Earlier this week in one of the media windows, Coach, Cody just got a what would be maybe a simple route, but he took it and got like 8 or 9 yards quickly. Like the speed was on full display. And it's like that's a different level of speed. And you've got that too with Parker. But what can you say about Cody's growth? Because we saw moments where he's contributing in special teams last year. But like, what can you tell us about how Cody's evolved this year in year 2?
Yeah, Cody, I mean, the speed pops off to everyone, obviously. That's well documented, and so that's no secret. But I actually think his strongest skill set is just his intentionality, his attention to detail. I mean, he's wired a lot like Tiger. Those two remind me very similar. They're very similar, even though they have difference in skill sets. Just the way they approach the game, the way they approach their craft. And so Cody's just done a great job. He's someone I have so much trust in just putting in at any time and getting a job done. He's, I think, the strongest in our room bench-wise, and so he's got this physicality and this confidence that he didn't have right away in terms of strength and his size. And so I'm excited for him. I think he's going to do some great things for us this year, and as long as he stays healthy, just like, with the rest of the room. And I really love how the group is shaping up.
Last thing for you, Coach, and we appreciate the time. Chase Roberts, last season with the BYU football program, heading into his senior year. How has he looked from your vantage point health-wise? Because I know he dealt with the injury this offseason. Has he looked back to his normal self, and what are you expecting in 2025 from Chase?
He's the best I've seen him, and that's expected. Health-wise, he actually had a fall today on that same shoulder, and he popped up, and it was a real confidence booster. He felt nothing. I've never been in that position, but I can imagine when you have a surgery like that and it takes a toll on your body, you want to protect it, and so that was actually a really good breakthrough for him today. But he's healthy, man. He looks fast. He's ready to go. He's definitely ready for the season. I expect great things out of him, man. He's going to be someone that we know defenses are gonna key, especially as the season goes on, because we're going to be intentional about getting him targets. He's earned them. He deserves them. We're a better team when he gets the ball and makes plays. And so, I just can't wait for the opportunity to as an offensive staff to scheme plays for him to find success, which we know will translate into offensive success. And so Cougar Nation is going to see a lot of him this fall. I know they already have, and I can't wait. I wish I had a million chases, but I'm excited to watch him his last go.
Entering his 8th season with the BYU football program, he's passing game coordinator and wide receiver coach Fesi Sitake. Coach, thanks again for carving out some time for me after the scrimmage, and see you next week.
My pleasure. Always good, Mitch.
Hey, that's Fesi Sitake here on KSL News Radio. A great insight there into the scrimmage, and I think Fesi Sitake kind of made it clear that the defense won the day. And look, I think that's to be expected. And I kind of asked him about that, with facing what was a number 1 defense in the Big 12 last year, but still, you could tell there was a little bit of emotion where not too thrilled with how the offense performed against the defense. I mean, these are all competitors. These are guys that want to win in anything. And so even a scrimmage where, yes, it's your teammates on the other side, you still want to get that dub and get that victory. And by his view, the defense won, and there was only 2 touchdowns from the offense today, one being a touchdown from Trey Roberts, and then the other being a grab from Cody Hagan. So that's a breakdown post-scrimmage. We'll have more insight from scrimmage number 1 here throughout the show today. But right now, though, we'll probably need to take a break, get to a break, and then we'll come back on the other side, get more fall camp breakdown next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
3 days only, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Save thousands on hot tubs and swim spas. 2 area locations, Salt Lake at Southtown Mall in the Big White Tent, and St. George at Washington County Legacy Park. Major manufacturers liquidation of new 2025 spas, discounted up to 40 to 80%. We have spas to fit any backyard or budget. Free professional delivery, instant on-site financing. 2 area locations, Salt Lake at Southtown Mall in the Big White Tent, and St. George at Washington County Legacy Park. Transform your backyard with a swim spa for the fraction of the price of a pool. The easiest way to exercise or relax in your backyard. Just fill and chill. Shockingly low monthly payments. Don't miss this opportunity to build the backyard of your dreams. See the latest models in person. 3 days only, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 2 area locations, Salt Lake at Southtown Mall in the Big White Tent, and St. George at Washington County Legacy Park. Learn more online at hottubandSwimSpaSale.com. hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Ready to elevate your everyday? Quince has the luxe staples insiders swear by, minus the markup. From 100% European linen styles and 14-karat gold jewelry to gorgeous leather bags and elevated home finds, Quince has it all. And by partnering directly with top artisans and ethical factories, Quince delivers premium quality at half the cost of similar brands. Discover everyday luxury without the markup at Quince. Go to quince.com/style upgrade for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/style upgrade.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial.
Visit mintmobile.com/radio. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Alpine Home Medical. We bring wellness home.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent from Alpine Home Medical, and I'm humbled to win Utah's Best of State for 2025 for the 15th year in a row. After 28 years, we're all about you. Over 1,700 5-star Google reviews and a 4.8 customer satisfaction score to prove it. We'll keep working hard for you. I've spent this year advocating with lawmakers for better Medicare reimbursement, ensuring you always have the best access to medical supplies you need. From Idaho Falls to St. George, our 11 stores are your home for comfort. When you hear Alpine Home Medical, think of that best of state experience every single time. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical. We bring wellness home.
We're giving away a chance to win a free air conditioner to anyone who's commented on our YouTube videos. So go to Healthy Water and Air and comment today. Some restrictions apply, so see YouTuber at yourservicepros.us for details.
Hi friends, Dan the Laptop Man here from PC Laptops. In celebration of over 32 years of serving humans in Utah with their computer and tech needs, we've slashed our prices. And these are the new 2025 models. Here's the deal. You can get our new 2025 S1 desktop with a blazing Ryzen 5 processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing fast storage on this promotion. We also have our new 2025 SM3 laptop with the Intel i5 processor, 16 gigs, and over a terabyte of storage for $999. You can take one home today for $999. And you also get the peace of mind of our lifetime service warranty. We also have 12 months special financing available, and they start as low as $29 a month. But hurry in because supplies are limited. Because at PC Laptops, we love you. PCLaptops.com. Take home a blazing fast 2025 model desktop or laptop for $999 at PCLaptops.com.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up, like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday, 1:17 p.m. here on this Saturday, August 9th. Mitch Harper here with you over the next 3 hours talking BYU sports. BYU football just wrapped up its first scrimmage of fall camp, and head coach Kalani Sitake is talking to the media. Producer Nate Slack is in that Zoom call right now, and we'll have that sound. We'll react to some of the commentary from Kalani Sitake coming up on the other side as BYU wrapped up week 2 of fall camp practices. But unpacking a little bit of the thoughts there from Fesi Sitake, I think the knee-jerk reaction would be from camp, as Fesi Sitake said, that the defense won clearly from scrimmage number 1. And again, Fesi, as he noted, he's focusing in on his receivers, but he'll dive into the film and look at it all, the offense. If you're in a situation where the offense struggled mightily against the defense, and again, this is a camp scrimmage where you're going live with players, top-end guys. You're giving even the Chase Roberts of the world a chance to get hit, get a little bit of contact, to get the juices flowing before you get to, August 30th. Because scrimmage 2, you're probably not going to have as many top-end guys play. That's more like, let's get you for the battles that will be in the season. We know what we've got in you. Take this one out, just sit and rest. Then it becomes more of the deeper cut guys to really rounding out maybe travel spots, things like that. That's kind of typically how these sort of things go. So scrimmage number 1 is always huge. And I got to imagine you're going to trim down this quarterback battle here soon. You got to trim it down at least to 2 and get this sorted out. But what do you do if the QBs and the offense as a whole, and I'm putting it all in there. Again, we don't see the snaps, the reps, but what would you do if the offense struggled mightily? Do you just go with the true freshman? Look, I still think McKay Hillstead, from what I've seen with my own eyes, I think McKay Hillstead's looked pretty good. And I think that McKay Hillstead, I'd have no problem going with him as the number 1 guy because I think he could be even more impressive in a game where he can take off and run and really show off that speed. But I think he's also improved with his throwing ability too. Same time, Bear Bachmeier is someone that this staff likes. And Aaron Roderick has talked about how, even has said in the offseason before Jake Gretzloff left, Aaron Roderick was saying that Bear Bachmeier's got a bright future ahead of him at BYU. It makes for a very interesting conversation with how this is shaping up, but it sounds like, again, that from the coaches, that this defense took care of business in scrimmage number 1 inside LaVell Edwards Stadium. And you look at this defense, BYU's defense last year was number 1 in the Big 12 in points per game allowed. To me, this defense is going to be even better this year. I really do believe that. You lose Tyler Batty, and that's a big loss, and Tyler's holding it down with the Minnesota Vikings, and it was interesting this week seeing him pop up even on Madden. He's there. Not everyone that's an undrafted free agent gets in that game on when it launches. So Batty's going to probably find a spot up with the Vikings. He's doing a nice job up there. But the defense, we saw signs of this on Tuesday where the defense was just teeing off on the offense. When Bear Bachmeier was in and Trayson Bourget was in, the defense was just lights out. Someone like a Tausili Akana absolutely shined on Tuesday in the media observation period. I thought Tausili Akana looked special, and seeing him at the Cougar kickoff, just a meek, humble guy, fits the MO of what Kalani Sitake wants in a player. But Tausili Akana's first step is elite. Elite. Like, he's got pass rushing abilities that I haven't seen at BYU since Bronson Kafusi and Ziggy Ansah. It's just with Tausili, if you're not familiar with him, the last 2 years at Texas with the Longhorns, he was buried on the depth chart, issue with weight. He was about 215, 210, just buried on the depth chart, wasn't playing at all. And then people look at, he goes in the portal, and they're saying, oh, he's getting knocked in the portal rankings because he signed with BYU. Well, he just hasn't played through 2 years. It's still kind of an incomplete grade of what this former 4-star recruit is going to be at the collegiate level. But you've seen enough signs, I think, in camp and in spring ball, too, where Tausili's going to be really good. And I thought Ephraim Asiata, too, was pretty quick off the edge, too. He's adding a little bit more weight to his frame, which is a promising sight to see. Keanu Tanavasa in the interior. Like, they were having a lot of success against BYU's offense. With Bear Bachmeier on Tuesday, it was the second-team offensive line. With Trayson Bourget, it was the first-team offensive line. And they were just teeing off. They were having so much success up front. Jack Kelly had a pressure. I mean, this was on Tuesday, but then it's following up again where the defense is winning the day. Do you hit a little bit of the panic button with this offense? It's always tough to really gauge, like, where do you hit a panic button if someone is just decisively winning. But I will say, myself and producer Nate Slack, we've followed BYU football for pretty much our whole lives. And, again, knee-jerk reaction as scrimmages got done. I haven't heard many scrimmages in the Kalani era where the staff is just kind of making it clear who won the day. It kind of just takes me back a little bit with that. But I think that they're being as upfront and honest as they can. You know, it's tough because not all of fans get to just go to scrimmages and practices anymore. Remember back in the day, you used to be able to just roll up to the SAB, stand on the balcony and watch practice. Those days are numbered. So you got to, go through the lens of the tidbits from the coaches that they're willing to provide, and then some insider commentary from people that were in the stadium and get some commentary from them, and then you got to verify that if that's what actually happened. But these coaches, at least Kalani and Fesi Sitake, are making it pretty known that the defense won today, and I think it just adds a little bit of a element of then what direction do you go? If all three quarterbacks at times had their struggles, what direction does that lead you to going? It's an interesting thought. To me, I think the top two should be McKay Hillstead and Bear Bachmeier is what I would do. But I think that also does a little bit of a disservice to Trayson Bourget, because I'm not trying to say he doesn't belong in the conversation. I think it's just that those are the top most talented guys from my vantage point, from what I've seen thus far. That's what I've seen. And I think Trayson Bourget's been better than I give him credit for. I think that what people gave him credit for coming in when he arrived from Western Michigan, I think he's done a pretty solid job, all things considered. But to me, Hillstead and Bachmeier are the best ones, and I would go with Hillstead. But that was, before this scrimmage, and we'll see how, getting more insight and intel into this scrimmage, what actually transpires. But I think you do need to trim this thing down. In the past, when we saw Jaron Hall, Baylor Romney, Jacob Conover compete in a three-man race, after the first scrimmage, it got trimmed down to two. So there's a little bit of a blueprint, and Kalani has always referred to that during this process since Jake and his status became a question. Kalani has referenced consistently, we've been through this. We know how to handle quarterback races. We know how to handle true freshmen. We know how to handle three-man quarterback races. They've done it all. Aaron Roderick has even expressed confidence and almost wanted to tell Cougar fans, like, hey, we can do this again. Just different, though, this time around, because the whole outlook of the position where you're banking on a guy, and then that gets just thrown out the door in a down period where you can't go to the portal and get another body, get another arm to get added to the mix. Had Jake been gone in March, it's a bummer, but you could have then gone into the portal and got another guy. It was just, so that made this one, to me, a little bit different than others, considering the timing of how, it's now Memorial Day, you suddenly got to create a quarterback battle. That's not the backup position. So much different conversation around a starting quarterback battle than a backup job. But BYU's defense, according to coaches, won the scrimmage today, if you just joined us. We had BYU passing game coordinator Fesi Sitake on the program live after the scrimmage. If you missed that interview, it'll be up on the podcast feed a little bit later today. There was some really good insight from Fesi Sitake, who he noted there were 2 touchdowns from the offense. Trey Roberts was one of them. If you're wondering who's Trey Roberts, he's a new face on the roster. He's Chase Roberts' younger brother. Just got back home from a mission. And then Cody Hagan. Cody Hagan, I asked Coach Sitake about Cody Hagan, his time is arriving. Cody Hagan, 4-star standout, excellent player, just high production at Corner Canyon. His time is here, I think, to contribute at a high level for BYU. But I think what's also been a noteworthy development with the receivers and the offense is the trust that Fesi Sitake has in making it clear through the first scrimmage, the top three, Chase Roberts, expected. JoJo Phillips, it was trending that way, so not a complete surprise. But then also Parker Kingston. Parker Kingston continues to be in that top three for Fesi Sitake. And I think there's going to be a leap there for Parker Kingston, because I think Parker Kingston's always been kind of viewed as maybe the gadget guy, the return specialist, and that's that. But Parker's going to have a big role too. We didn't see him through the first two media observation portions. We did see him on Tuesday, and he looked good. He had some nice catches over the middle and showing off that speed, which that to me shines bright in this receiver unit. They got a lot more speed than what they've had in the past. A little quick tidbit, too, from producer Nate Slack. The scrimmage was officiated by a Big 12 crew, so maybe a little bit of a case of simulating a game for this program as they're 3 weeks away from kickoff. Let's take a break. On the other side, we'll hear from head coach Kalani Sitake post-scrimmage to get his commentary, what he saw from the scrimmage, next here on Cougar Sports Saturday. It's powered by KSLSports.com. We're here on 102.7 FM, 1160 AM. We'll hear from Kalani Sitake next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Connecticut soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, there are several ways, so consider this as part one in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means it'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Connecticut is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result, Connecticut delivers perfectly soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
1:31 at KSL News Radio. I'm Linda Dow. KSL's top national story this hour from ABC News. New details about what's being called a record-breaking sports memorabilia heist. The suspect, now identified as a former police officer in Miami. Here's ABC's Andrew Dibbert.
NBA insider Amin El-Hassan first reported the story on the Dan Le Batard show last month. He says it was the sports memorabilia community that alerted the feds.
The sale of ill-gotten memorabilia. What red flagged within the memorabilia community is you never see people with this much stuff.
Among the items boosted, an NBA Finals jersey worn by LeBron James, which Perez sold for around $100,000. It was later auctioned for $3.7 million.
In the NFL, defensive back for the Detroit Lions, Maurice Norris, has been injured in a preseason game against the Atlanta Falcons last night, ending the game early. Lions coach Dan Campbell tells the media that Norris's injury is an eye-opener for the entire team.
It's just an eye-opener. It hits, it hits a little different, and, it puts things in perspective. And, man, it's a violent game, and we love it. And, but when something like this happens, the silver lining is, man, the brotherhood. I mean, to see all those guys, from that team, our team, kind of come together, and everybody's thinking about another player just means a lot.
The Falcons report on their X account that Norris is in stable condition and has feeling and movement in all of his extremities. Coming up, Mother Nature gives us a little break. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 1:32.
Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids.
car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Traffic looks great. No crashes or delays on I-15, 215, and I-80. We do have a UDOT construction alert. Plan ahead as the southbound I-215 between North Temple and SR 201 will be reduced to 2 lanes each night through Tuesday as crews work to reconstruct the freeway. When you need the financial products and services for each stage of life, Cyprus Credit Union is there for whatever the future holds. Visit cypruscu.com today. 83 for the high today, 59 for the overnight low. Tomorrow, sunny and 88. Monday, sunny and 91. Right now, it's mostly cloudy. We are seeing patches of rain pop up throughout the Salt Lake County area. Right now it's 79 degrees. I'm Linda Dell, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Ritchie right to the rim, driving score!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Here's your host, Mitch Harper, on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Cougar Sports Saturday, we're reacting to scrimmage number 1. BYU football wrapped up its first scrimmage of fall camp down at LaVell Edwards Stadium. It was a scrimmage that was officiated by a Big 12 conference crew, and the coaching staff, Kalani Sitake and Fesi Sitake, who we've heard from, made it clear that the defense won the day. Aaron Roderick was just at the virtual podium with the reporters just moments ago. I think Jay Hill's now talking as well. But this will play now some commentary from Kalani Sitake post-scrimmage with reporters. This was just moments ago from the stadium. This is Kalani Sitake after today's scrimmage from camp.
Yeah, good scrimmage. A lot of great live work. Had over 100 plays of live stuff. Got some special team stuff in there too. Really feel good about the work that we got in. I obviously had to watch the film, but it's exactly what I wanted to see. I think there's some administrative penalties that I want to fix, but it's good day one stuff. Honestly, we didn't have any issues with the clock as far as getting the calls in, things like that, but we did have some pre-snap penalties. I think about 5 of them. So we have to get those fixed. And then overall, had a couple defensive penalties that extended drives, but I think defense usually in the first scrimmage, that's how it works. Defense got the better of the day for our team. Just concerned because for a team that got a lot of interceptions, we didn't do that this scrimmage, and so good thing that the offense took care of the football. But I don't know if we would have had taken more chances, taken more risks, maybe we would have put ourselves in a better position. So it's one of those things you have to watch on film. But offense took care of the football. Defense didn't get any turnovers, but I think overall defense was able to pretty much come out ahead. Usually happens in scrimmage number 1, where the defense is further ahead and had a lot of guys flying around. But I just like that we were able to tackle, play live ball, get in the stadium, and just have the guys understand the game and get the feel for it. And so it was a good day, productive day. Watch the film, we'll learn from it, and looking forward to next time we go live again, get some situational football game type situations, and put our guys in a little bit of pressure. I thought defensively they put a lot of pressure on our offense today, and we'll be better because of it. So, what questions do you guys have for me?
All right, let's start with Jake Hatch. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, Kalani, just wanted to ask you, based off of this scrimmage, are you planning on paring down the quarterback battle?
Oh, possibly. I think we would talk about it as a staff, and so yeah, talk to A-Rod and the offensive staff, and we'll see what we decide after today. It's hard to make that decision now. Want to look at the film and want to see, certain reads and if they made the right decisions. I think you guys heard me talk about that before. Is just decision making is what we want to see. So we were able to get a lot of really cool moments where it's hard on the quarterback to make the decision, see if they made the right one. And sometimes the defense just makes the plays, and I have a feeling the defense I mean, a lot of the guys were leading. I mean, we had a bunch of guys in there, started realizing that there's a great leadership on this team on the defensive side. Offensive side, it's just everything's got to click. If one guy makes a mistake, it could ruin the play, you know. So defensively, one guy can make a mistake, and sometimes people don't know about it. So that's how it works. But it was just a really good day one. Quarterback wise, we'll see how it goes on Monday. We'll let you guys know.
All right. Jake, if you have a follow-up, no one else has asked yet for another question. So
I got another one. Kalani, you talked about your defense. You felt like they may have won the day. Do you feel like this defense is ahead of where it was at this time last year? And do you think it can be as elite, if not better, than it was a season ago?
Well, they better be ahead. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that have played on this defense that understand a lot more. I mean, it's even the operational part. It's them knowing and getting a good feel from the play caller in Jay Hill. So I think having that connection, obviously going to year 3 for Jay and his defensive staff, you could tell that they're a lot more comfortable with the scheme, with the coaching, with the expectations, and the communication is there. So, but to have guys that have joined us, that's the key. Having the new guys in the program, and it seemed like they just gelled really quickly. It's a huge compliment to Jay and to their position coaches. But usually it's easier to get the defensive side going first, but offense will usually respond. It's good to get this going because then offense will respond next week.
All right. We'll go next to Sean Walker with KSL.com and then Casey Lundquist with SI.com.
Yeah, that kind of dovetails, Coach, into sort of what I wanted to bring up on the defense, because you mentioned there were a number of interceptions that the defense came down with today, I think was roughly your words. Where do you kind of draw...
No interceptions. There's none. Yeah, that's a lack of interceptions. So
lack of interceptions.
Yeah.
Where do you kind of draw the line as you start getting into, I guess, sort of this this more live part of camp between the defense getting better and doing their thing and all of that, while also still bringing the offense along? And I mean, obviously, you want to avoid injuries and everything, but are you getting to that point of more and more live, I guess?
I think it all depends on. I'd like to keep a flexible schedule and lean on the ability to go live. If we're not seeing enough in the competition, it's hard to compete for a position if you're doing skelly and if you're not really tackling to the ground. It's hard when you're just going to assume that they're going to make tackles when they're in the area. I don't like that. I like to know for sure. So if it doesn't mean that everybody needs to go live, but there's nothing wrong with even the starters getting some tackles in there or getting tackled or breaking tackles. We already did that a couple times this week, and next week I know we can do that if we need to. It's just a matter of if the competition calls for it. That's. But there's some guys that just we already know that they can do it, but it's also you got to get the rhythm down. I don't want them the first time that they're tackling or that they're being tackled the Portland State game. That's not going to go well for us. And so it's just a hard thing to do because I think the hesitation is that, well, we want them to stay healthy for the game, but then how are you supposed to get ready? Prize fighters, they have to spar. That's just part of it. And guys got banged up today. That's part. We're not 100% healthy because of today. But that's what do you want me to do? I want to know. I mean, it's the risk that you have to take sometimes, And that's a hard thing to say, but like, I don't want guys getting hurt just in ever. But if we don't prepare them right, then they're going to get hurt in the game. So we got to do that.
All right, go ahead, Casey.
Coach, I was going to ask about the health of the team, and I think you just provided a little update there. So I'll pivot and ask you, through the first half of camp, do you feel like there's an identity forming around your team, or is that still to be determined?
Yeah, I feel that identity's forming. I mean, I look at the leadership on the team. You're starting to see the personality come out in this team. So part of the identity will be how our offense responds next week and how they respond to today. And it wasn't a horrible day for them. It was a really good defensive day. I mean, but I'm sure there's some things that Jay and the staff are going to look at and say we need to do better defensively. But it was pretty good. I mean, like they didn't win every rep, but man, they were really, really good. And if they play at that level, I'll feel really good about it. Offensively, we did some really good things, but it just comes down to the execution, making the right read, making the right block, running the right route, things like that. And those are fixable items. So I'm not down on the offense. I've coached long enough now, especially as a head coach, to know that to what to look for in scrimmage one, and what I saw was really good. Taking care of the football, but again, is it because we were too cautious and we're in the competition as a quarterback? In as far as interceptions, the fumbles though, I thought ball security was pretty good. I mean, we try to emphasize that as much as possible, but I think the guys are done a great job all camp. Now that I said that, we might have some problems next week, but we still got 3 weeks to go.
All right, we'll go next to Sam Foster, and remind everyone, just state who your organization you're with as well. So Sam, and then we'll have another question from Jake Hatch.
Hey, Coach, I'm with the Daily Universe. Speaking of the wide receivers, has there been a wide receiver who's kind of gone out and taken a hold of that wide receiver 2 spot behind Chase, or is it still kind of a group of guys after him?
Well, I think the hard thing is to name them 1 through 10, because the goal is to actually get the gap between 1 and 10 to narrow that gap, and have that gap between 1 and 2 to narrow. And I think that the gap is actually closing in, not because number 1's not better, it's because 2 through 10 are getting better. You know what I mean? And I saw some really good things from the others. I mean, Chase is one, but you think others don't know that Chase Roberts is our top receiver? So, we're going to need other guys to get open and get the ball too. So it helps that we have a bunch of bodies there. So we haven't sorted it out. I can tell you, I'm really excited about the depth of the receiver group, though. It feels good that we have a bunch of guys we know we can go to and are capable of making plays. And that's a huge credit to Fessy and to what A-Rod and them have done on the offensive side.
Yeah, with KSL Sports, Jake Hatch, I just wanted to ask you about your offensive line. Do you feel like Coach Woods has got his guys and they're getting, a pecking order established?
Yeah, I believe we have a good 2 deep. But what I've been really impressed with is we do have some depth there at O-line, and I know we do have guys that help, if we need to, can go 12, 13 deep. There's a lot of guys that have kind of grown up in the program that have come along that I feel really good about being on the field, and we can trust them. And they've earned this trust by being in the system, and more importantly, earning the trust from TJ Woods. And so TJ's done an amazing job with the O-line. But you got to keep working, though. So there's a lot of things that you can do to get better. And today they made a step forward, but it's again, we got to. It's all about bottom line, which is putting points on the board, and we got to do that more. But I saw some really good things from them. They're physical. They have no choice but to be physical when you're going against, Keanu and the rest of the group. So, but I did like the physical part of the game. Today I love the physical, the aggression, the just the smacking of bodies. It was a pleasure to see.
Got one quick follow-up to that, if I could, real quick. I just wanted to ask you, when you flip over to the defense, you talk about guys like Keanu. You said you wanted to make this as game-like as possible. Do you feel like your guys responded inside the stadium, et cetera?
Oh yeah, I thought. I mean, the challenge was to get the energy going, and then I thought Keanu, the rest of the guys, Tanner Wall, and Jack Kelly and Isaiah Glasker, just the leadership. The corner group did a really good job today too. I Evan Johnson and Maury Bamba. I mean, that group really talented. General's done a great job with them. So, but it's one day. Can we do that consistently over and over again? And can we correct the mistakes that we made today, make sure it doesn't show up again? We can't just be satisfied with how we perform today as a team and as a defense or offense. But we can't get down too. I mean, I feel really good about the progress that we're making, the steps that we've made towards our first scrimmage. And now that we're done with the first scrimmage, I'm really, really excited about where we can go with this.
Very good. Are there any other questions that?
There you go. That's BYU football head coach Kalani Sitake after scrimmage number 1. Good stuff there from Kalani. Very insightful. He noted that the defense won. He added that he wants to make sure that they don't make mistakes and that they can't be satisfied with what they did today, that being the defense. He noted that there were some pre-snap penalties, 5 of which for the offense, a couple defensive penalties that he said extended drives. As you heard earlier today on this show, Kvesi Sitake noted that there were 2 touchdowns, one from Trey Roberts with the third-team offense and then Cody Hagan as well. So 2 touchdowns on the day for the offense, but it was a day that was the defense's day. And Kalani noted that defense usually is ahead after scrimmage number 1, but takes on a little bit more significance, I think, with a quarterback battle. But Kalani did note no interceptions from any of the quarterbacks. So that was a good tidbit there from Kalani. Let's take a break. On the other side, we'll kind of put a bow on hour number 2 and get some more BYU football fall camp talk next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
Back to school means back to routine, but don't forget about the mess underfoot. Start this school year fresh with Zero-Res carpet and air duct cleaning. Did you know your carpets can trap up to 40 pounds of dust, dirt, and debris each year? Zero-Res uses patented technology to clean with no sticky soaps or harsh chemicals. Just patented ZR water for a deep clean that's safe for kids, pets, and your peace of mind. Your carpets dry fast, stay cleaner longer, and come with a 30-day gotta love it guarantee. Right now, get 3 rooms plus a free hallway for $119 and 15% off air duct cleaning. Schedule today at Zerores.com. That's Zerores.com. Spelled the same forward or backward. Zerores is the right way to clean. Zerores.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. 1 discount per household.
Tim Hughes back at Replenish Landscape Garden Products. Mike, Greg, and I were just talking about more ways for you to conserve water this time of year, which, of course, is going to save you money. And the first thing right off the top, Greg, is the Replenish. Not only is it going to provide nutrients to your growing areas, but it's going to help you conserve water.
That's right. As you look in your gardens, if your soil is baking, what they need is some insulating, and the Replenish is a great option for that. Rich in nutrients, it's dark, it looks wonderful, and will help suppress weeds as well as hold water.
And Mike, when you put it down, as Greg said, it not only looks good, but it's going to give the nutrients that those plants need as they try to struggle through this hot season.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's the Replenish compost is full of nutrients and just will feed your plants.
Buy it in bulk, buy it in bag, come get it yourself or have it delivered. Replenish Landscape Garden Products, 4660 South, 200 West in Murray. Call them at 801-262-5142 or go to replenishcompost.com. Replenish. It's good stuff.
Save $200 instantly for every $800 you spend in store at Scandinavian Designs. Stop by your local showroom today or shop online at ScandinavianDesigns.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life.
Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
This is Holly Robinson Pete for Eggland's Best. Eggs are a staple in our diet, and there's only one egg with more delicious, farm-fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties, classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Get Mr. Mac's Performance Missionary Package. Includes 1 performance suit, 4 and collar stretch shirts, 3 ties, 1 mission belt, 1 pair of Echo or Johnston & Murphy shoes. All for just $695 at Mr. Mac.
Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday. Mitch Harper here with you, and joining me in studio is producer Nate Slack, who was just on the virtual Zoom call with BYU football, hearing from head coach Kalani Sitake. Nate put together all that sound that you just heard from head coach Kalani Sitake. He was also in the call with offensive coordinator Aaron Roderick and defensive coordinator Jay Hill. Any quick instant reaction to some of the commentary from Coach Roderick and Coach Hill, Nate, that you just heard from that Zoom call?
Yeah, I think the first thing that stands out to me is just how different the tone was from Jay Hill to Aaron Roderick and Kalani and Fessy. I think it really sounds like the offense, or the defense rather, really dominated the scrimmage today, which I don't think is that big of a surprise. And it's tough to know how concerning that is for the offense when the defense was the best in the Big 12 last year, and they reloaded with a good defensive line. That was one thing that Jay Hill talked about, was that they feel like they're going to be really good against the run this year. He was also really excited about the pass rush. He singled out a few guys in the cornerback room. He talked about Trey Alexander. He's been banged up with a little bit of a shoulder injury.
And we didn't see him on Tuesday during the media observation because of that.
So it wasn't anything new. But Evan Johnson, he also mentioned having a really good scrimmage today, and Maury Bamba. And so it's tough to really gauge what the offense is going to look like, because they're going up against maybe the best defense they'll play all year. But it sounds like Jay Hill's really optimistic about the defense. Aaron Roderick talked about how sloppy the offense was. He said they were missing a few key contributors. They were splitting the quarterback reps evenly. It sounds like they may be trimming that down on Monday. He didn't give a time on that, but between comments that he and Kalani made, it sounds like it's going to be sooner rather than later. And so it'll be interesting to see if that does get trimmed down on Monday.
Good breakdown there from Nate Slack. You can follow him, of course, on X, Nate Slack 5. He handles all the production here on this show, producing this program. But yeah, I mean, I think that you make a good point about how is it a panic thing with the offense. I don't want to panic because I do think this defense is really good. I thought what was significant, though, Nate, was that Kalani Sitake emphasized no interceptions. Because when Fessy Sitake hopped onto this show earlier this hour, he was, a little bit heat of the moment after the offense took what was probably an L today. You just then let your mind go, ooh, where did this go for the QBs? But no interceptions and no fumbles. Kalani noted that maybe it was just a little bit conservative on play calling. Maybe they need to be a little more aggressive. They're being a little bit careful. And my thought kind of goes to, quarterbacks that don't have the depth of the knowledge of the playbook like they had with Jake. Like Jake was pretty well versed in it going into year 3. And again, that's where there's a gap between Jake Retzloff and these 3. Talent's going to be there. You tried out McKay Hillstead, you tried out Bear Bachmeyer. They're talented. You tried out Trace and Bourget. These guys are talented. But again, just the experience going through it in the Big 12 week after week. And then just the trust with Aaron Roderick. Aaron Roderick really believed a lot in Jake Retzloff. And when you hear tidbits from Kalani about maybe being a little conservative on the play calling, maybe they should have been a little more aggressive to take some more shots downfield or whatnot, that's where maybe that played a role in this outcome, being the defense winning the day for day one. But Kalani noted that, defense is winning scrimmage number one, or no shock to him. That usually happens, but he also noted that he's not going to panic. He's kind of navigated these waters before, so we'll see how this continues going forward. But I thought that was significant, no interceptions for the QBs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing, too, to think about is just the comfort level. So you have, obviously, the playbook knowledge, but even just having a quarterback know for 2 or 3 weeks before the first game, yeah, you're going to be the starting guy. You don't have to keep looking around and who's looking over your shoulder, and are you really in first place? Are you battling? If it's going to be McKay Hillstead, where does he stand against Barry Bachmeier? He's not going to have to worry about that if he's told, hey, you're going to be the starting guy. So he'll have 2 weeks to prepare mentally. Not saying he's going to be the starter, but just for example's sake. I think there's some really good benefits about naming a starter earlier rather than later, because they would be able to have that comfort. But you also don't want to go into it and assign a starting quarterback before they're really ready.
Phil Steele coming up next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
From ABC News, I'm Mike Dubusky. Vice President J.D. Vance met with European allies today in Kent, England, to discuss a war in Ukraine, with one U.S. official telling ABC News the talks netted significant progress towards ending the war. It comes ahead of Friday's scheduled meeting between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, set to take place in Alaska. One person not scheduled to attend, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
Україна готова до реальних рішень, які можуть дати.
Speaking earlier today, Zelensky says real and genuine peace is needed, but he's not open to exchanging territory with Russia as a means by which to end the war, something that President Trump has floated as a possibility. There's an increased police presence around Emory University today after yesterday's shooting nearby that also saw bullets hit the campus of the Centers for Disease Control. Authorities have now identified the gunman as Patrick Joseph White from Kennesaw, Georgia. Joshua Shira, who lived near the suspect, spoke to WSB-TV.
I didn't really know him too much to comment on his character, but from what I've, seen outside the house, he seems like a okay guy. I don't know what his motive would have been. I don't know if he knows anybody up there.
There is new reaction to Israel's plans to move forward with an effort to take control of Gaza City, marking a new escalation in the war that is now almost 2 years old. ABC News foreign correspondent Marcus Moore.
Hamas has called this plan a war crime, and several world leaders, including those from the UK and Canada and France, are condemning the move and calling for an immediate ceasefire. In fact, Germany, one of Israel's closest allies, has halted some arms shipments to Israel over concerns they could be used in Gaza.
Firefighters continue to battle 39 wildfires currently raging across 10 states. The Canyon Fire north of Los Angeles has now burnt through more than 5,300 acres. You're listening to ABC News.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
Ever wonder why you have insurance for your car or home, but not your digital life? Meet WebRoot Total Protection, your digital bodyguard that includes antivirus, identity protection, VPN, cloud backup, and more. With plans for individuals and families, WebRoot takes the guessing game out of cybersecurity so you can get back to living your best life online. Go to webroot.com/offer and get 50% off today. That's webroot.com/offer to get 50% off today. Live a better digital life with WebRoot, because peace of mind shouldn't be optional.
I am not a rich woman, but I feel like a rich woman every time I go in my closet. The best, hands down, present I've ever received was my husband secretly redid my closet with Closets by Design. So now when I go in there aren't all these shoes just junked on the floor. They're neatly sitting on their shelves. And my necklaces are hanging on their individual hooks, and earrings are in their little squares in this soft drawer that pulls out. It's just gorgeous. In fact, he saw how much I loved it. He had Closets by Design redo the garage. So now all the stuff, the tools, the toys, the junk is all in cabinets. When you open our garage door, you see cars. That's it. It's amazing. The things that Closets by Design can do, and it's going to save you money right now because you get up to 40% off plus an additional 15% off with 18-month financing. You can do so much with your closet, much more than you realize, with this wonderful Utah company, Closets by Design. Find out more at 1-800-BY-DESIGN or closetsbydesign.com.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Lowe's knows when you're looking for reliability, the right brand makes all the difference. And now, Lowe's is the exclusive home improvement retailer for the Whirlpool water treatment line, including their Wi-Fi softener, under-sink filtration system, and more. With Whirlpool's proven performance and our everyday low prices, better tasting, better quality water is within reach. Shop pro-trusted brands like Whirlpool and more, in-store or online. Lowe's, we help, you save.
Make sure your lawn can handle the hot summer temps. An application of Revive Organic Soil Treatment this summer is the protection your lawn needs now to stay lush and green. Save water, save money with Revive. It works.
It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Richie right to the rim, driving score!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Here's your host, Mitch Harper, on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Bill, how you living, man? How's life?
Things are great right now, Mitch. This is my favorite time of the year. It's no deadlines, no magazine deadline, the 7 months of work there. And then football season is a lot of 100-hour work weeks. This time of year, I'm just doing a bunch of TV, radio shows, preparing for this season, maybe working 60 hours a week. So it's like being on vacation.
It's exciting times, Phil, and I appreciate you carving out some time for me to talk about this BYU football team that had an 11-2 campaign a season ago, and I'll admit, following the team as close as I do, that caught me a little bit off guard. I kind of thought maybe 8 wins would be a great benchmark in year 2. They go to 11 this year in year 3. What's your read on this team now that Jake Retzloff has officially moved on to Tulane? What do you make of this BYU squad?
Well, I think they're still a legitimate Big 12 contender. In fact, I think there's 8 teams this year that are legitimate Big 12 contenders. Retzlaff last year had some good moments, no doubt about it. But, you look at the stats, 58%, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. I think they've got 3 quality quarterbacks battling for the job, and Bourquet, Hillstead, and Bachmeier. Any one of the 3 who wins the job could have similar stats to what Retzlaff put up last year. I think Satake did a tremendous job with this team. And you look at the running back core, I like L.J. Martin coming back, the top rusher from last year. Receivers, Chase Roberts is back. Made the cover of my West Coast magazine, by the way. He's had nearly 1,000-yard season. I'm intrigued by Tiger Bachmeier from Stanford coming in at wide receiver as well. And then the offensive line, Coach Satake feels they have 6 guys who can start. They have guys that can play tackle or guard, and then 5 guys behind him that are comfortable playing, so he likes the depth on the offensive line. Defensive line, good amount of talent. I like Tanavasa up front and nose tackle. I think he's an NFL-caliber player. Linebacking core exceptional with Glasgow and Kelly. And then the secondary, they've got talented guys. They need some guys to fill some holes, but I think they look strong. So overall, this is a very good BYU team, and I think even losing Retzlaff, I believe they're going to get solid quarterback play.
And following up on that quarterback play, you've got Trayson Bourget listed as the second guy after Jake in the print magazine. I know the digital edition continues to update on philsteele.com, but on the print copy, you had Trayson Bourget second. Was that from insight from your conversation with Kalani Sitake, or kind of more field-based there with going with Trayson at number 2?
I'd have to say both, but, because Coach Sitake basically said he's comfortable with any of the 5 guys he's got at the quarterback room. That includes the true freshman, Emerson Gelman. So, I mean, he was comfortable with all 5. And then I had to interpret what I was hearing and also put in my own personal effect on it. And that's why I listed Bourget number 2 there. And by the way, when the magazine went to the press, I was expecting Retzlaff not to play. So I wouldn't rank BYU any lower than I have been in the magazine. That's pretty much where I thought they'd be.
So you got them tied for 7th in the Big 12. So that was kind of then that standing. So I think a lot of people that saw that initially thought, oh, is Phil just selling on BYU? But you kind of thought that's maybe the floor of this BYU team then.
Yes, definitely the floor, and I'd put him at the floor. I figured with the honor code, and Chris came in, and I was talking to him, and he said, he's probably going to have to sit out games with suspension. I'm like, well, that doesn't sound good. I'm going to assume he's not playing, and I put BYU at the very bottom of where I thought they could possibly finish this year because of that.
Talk with Phil Steele here on KSLSports.com and KSL News Radio. You can listen to all the BYU football games here on the legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio. And Phil, I'm a proud reader of your magazine. I've got all 31 editions of your magazine dating back to 1995. I've been reading this since I was a kid. And I bring that up because we've seen a lot of changes with BYU football over the years, from the WAC, the Mountain West, Independence, now the Big 12. And, just from your vantage point, covering the sport at large, what do you just make of the evolution of BYU football and how it's taken shape under Kalani Sitake? Because there's been some peaks and valleys under Kalani, but right now it seems like the program is in a really good place. What's your kind of view of BYU football over these 31 years that you've been covering college football?
Yeah, I think it's in one of its best places. And you go back to when Utah got taken into the Pac-12 and BYU was left in the Netherlands for a while there. And you're wondering, what's going to happen? And now that they're in a conference, and we saw it last year, they're in a Power 4 conference, and they proved they can play with the big boys. Nearly got to the Big 12 title game. Looked like they were headed there for a while when they were ranked number 7 in the country before the Kansas game. I really love what Kalani Sitake is doing at BYU, and I think they're in a tremendous conference and will contend for the title on a yearly basis, which is a big plus over where it was when they got jilted a few years back.
When you look at the BYU football program and you're kind of putting together your forecast for conference, are there certain computer ratings that you live by? I know you've got multiple different ratings and computer ratings to kind of put together your conference outlooks, but are there certain pieces that you really rely on that when the numbers come out, you're like, man, that's pretty telling, and that's going to play a big role into how I view a team fitting into a certain conference in a given year?
Yeah, I think, I do 9 sets of power ratings. And in the Big 12 this year, I got to tell you, the biggest thing for me was schedule. That's really what determined it. I took a look at 8 teams in the Big 12, and I was talking about Baylor, Utah, Iowa State, Arizona State, Kansas State, Texas Tech, TCU, and BYU. And then factored in the schedule, who plays the big boys and how many games are on the road, how many games are at home. And that really was the determining factor. You look at Baylor this year, they're playing Oklahoma State, Arizona on the road. They've got a very manageable slate. They've got 5 Big 12 home games. Utah this year does play BYU and Baylor on the road, but they are loaded. And then Iowa State, their road games are against Colorado, TCU, Cincinnati. So the best schedule road-wise or home-away-wise went to those 3 teams. You go and take a look at Arizona State, for example. They're playing Utah on the road, Iowa State on the road, Baylor on the road. It's three really tough venues against three really tough teams. Same thing with Texas Tech. I know they added a lot of talent this year, through the portal, and we're already an experienced team. But Joey McGuire's got a team that's 15-5 at home and 6-10 on the road. And on the road this year, they're playing Utah, Arizona State, Kansas State. And that's why I think a lot of folks are picking Texas Tech right at the top. But I see those three road games, and I'm like, wow. And plus, you have to factor in the West Virginia game. That's going to be cold weather on November the 29th. And the Houston game, that could be a tricky one as well, because Houston has a really good defense. And let me take you back to the SEC for a minute here, and the reason that I'm relying on schedule. Last year, Georgia came in, the number one ranked team in the country, but they had three road games. They had to play Alabama, Mississippi, and Texas all on the road, and they lost two of those games. This year, they play same three teams are the three toughest games. They get all three of them at home. One of the reasons I picked Georgia at the top of the SEC. So schedule generally does have a lot to do with my forecast.
I like that breakdown. Again, talk with Phil Steele here on KSLSports.com, KSL News Radio. Is it becoming tougher, Phil, to forecast teams and conferences with the transfer portal? And I know your magazine kind of goes a little bit later delivery date now because of the portal, which I love, because getting all the portal names, that's one of the great things about your magazine. But is it becoming tougher on your end to forecast these conferences with how much these rosters do change?
Yeah, it's becoming a little bit tougher. Now, we go to the press 5 weeks after the transfer portal closes. So this year we went to the press the first week of June. We used to be able to go to the press, the middle of May, but we can't do that anymore. So we went the first week of June. We were able to capture almost every single move that was made in the transfer portal. The only one we didn't capture was one that wasn't really affected by the portal. That was the Retzlaff move. But that's, as you mentioned, updated in the digital. But, it makes it a lot tougher. Although, I had an interesting thing this year. I'm looking at homegrown teams. And I did a blog a few days ago, if you go to philsteele.com, and take a look at the homegrown teams. And what I mean by that are teams that are primarily made up of players that were recruited by the school, have played at the school, and now seniors. You look at the last two national champs, both Ohio State and Michigan, basically homegrown teams. Ohio State had 5-6 top transfers come in, but that's just supplementing the team. And I think they stick together better as a team. And give you an example, Florida State last year. Florida State hit home runs in the transfer portal 2 straight years. Now, last year, when things started to go south, where was the team base? They were a team made up of transfers, and all of a sudden the team went south and finished with just two wins on the season. That's why I think in terms of the Big 12, you're going to see teams like West Virginia, Oklahoma State, UCF, teams that are heavily relying on the transfer portal, and a lot of additions coming in at post-spring. I think those teams are going to struggle this year. So we're going to see how that plays out. I like BYU. They're more of a homegrown team. They're not relying on the transfer portal for their talent. They're using it to accentuate the overall team that they have.
Yeah, big reason for that is Kalani Sitake and his culture. And I'm curious, Phil, over the years when you've had your sit down conversations that go more than an hour with these coaches, what's the vibe like with Kalani Sitake when you break down this roster, go through every single player? How much does Kalani enjoy it, and just maybe the tenor of those conversations that you have annually with Kalani?
Well, I tell you what, he's a guy that loves football. I love football, so we right away bond in that area. And Kalani's always been legit with me on each position. He'll tell me strengths, he'll tell me weaknesses. And he's always felt good, though, these last couple of years about building the team. Last year, for example, in the preseason, he was highly confident he was going to have a team that was going to contend. And, I'm like, well, we'll see. And then naturally at the end of the year, there he is with his 11-win total. So, no, I always enjoy my phone calls with Kalani. I think I remember the first one we had. I was even saying, hey, you want to help me out on my all-conference teams? It was that type of conversation. So I think he's a legitimate, good guy. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And I think it comes from his time when his mentor, Lavelle Edwards. Lavelle always had a thing where he'd say, I feel like we got a chance to be a pretty good football team. It seems like Kalani takes that same approach. Last couple things here for you, Phil, and appreciate the time. College football playoff. I asked this because I remember just, for years annually, you were a big advocate for the 4-team playoff. That was it. Don't go any further. I'm curious, Phil, now that it's a 12 team and maybe next year we're to 16, maybe it stays at 12. I'm just curious what you're thinking of how the postseason is now structured in your beloved sport with college football. And do you like the direction of how a national champion is being determined these days?
Yeah, and I was, as you mentioned, a big 4-team advocate. I thought last year, after Georgia got left out of the 4-team playoff in 2023, which I thought had Georgia made the playoff, they might just have won it. It was too bad that they didn't win the SEC championship game and got left out. I was like, well, maybe the 12-team is good. Now, I will say this. In the FCS, where they play multiple playoff games, I don't even know how many teams qualify nowadays, it sometimes becomes a battle of attrition. And take a look at Notre Dame last year when they got to the national championship game. They were down their top defensive lineman. They were down their top offensive lineman. And Jeremiah Love was not 100% a running back. They got all beat up in the playoffs. I don't want to see the healthiest team win the national championship. I want to see the best team. So that would be the one downside of the 12-team playoff, or the 16, which I do think we're moving towards. But the upside would be there's a lot more programs excited about college football in that final week. Can we make the playoffs? Can we not make the playoffs? Another downside might be what's going to happen with the bowl games as we expand the playoffs. But overall, I was pretty excited about the playoffs coming into last year, and hopefully the seeding gets better. We don't see an Oregon having to face Ohio State in the first round or their first game of the playoffs, and we don't see those bye week teams all go 0-4 based on A, the layoff, and then B, the fact that some of them didn't deserve to be bye-week teams. I think they got that sorted out. So sort of up and down on the playoff, but what the heck? Let's go 12-16, see how it works out.
I love it, Phil. Phil Steele, the publisher and creator of Phil Steele's College Football Preview. It's at Barnes & Noble, and Chase Roberts is on the cover, folks. I mean, only 5th BYU player to ever grace the cover of the Phil Steele College Football Preview. Phil is someone who, as a kid, used to pull off the last page of the magazine and send feedback to you. It's always a pleasure and an honor to talk college football and BYU football with you, and I hope to do it again down the road. And I'll be keeping buying this magazine as long as I'm here. I'm reading this magazine till the end, man.
Awesome. Mitch, you got 31 magazines there. I'm hoping to get another 31 for you. And you know what? Since you do have a stack of 31 magazines, anytime you want me on, you just let me know. I love it, and I greatly appreciate you being a longtime reader.
That's Phil Steele, creator of Phil Steele's College Football Preview. Great insight there from Phil. Taking a break. On the other side, we'll get to some more fall camp breakdown as BYU wrapped up its first scrimmage of fall camp. Some of the positions of strength for this BYU football team through 2 weeks of camp next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
Change is always happening. Hey, it's a part of life. And when it comes to music, change is all around us. Songs are rewritten, classics are remixed, bands and artists come and go. Even our taste in music changes. But no matter how things change, in 5 years, there's one thing that'll stay the same: the price of your internet. Xfinity is introducing the 5-year price guarantee. It means you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with their best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. Surprised? Life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years guaranteed. Learn more at xfinity.com/deals. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report August 2024. The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Go to xfinity.com/deals.
3 days only, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Save thousands on hot tubs and swim spas. 2 area locations, Salt Lake at Southtown Mall in the Big White Tent, and St. George at Washington County Legacy Park. Major manufacturers liquidation of new 2025 spas, discounted up to 40 to 80%. We have spas to fit any backyard or budget. Free professional delivery, instant on-site financing. 2 area locations, Salt Lake at Southtown Mall in the Big White Tent, and St. George at Washington County Legacy Park. Transform your backyard with a swim spa. spa for the fraction of the price of a pool. The easiest way to exercise or relax in your backyard. Just fill and chill. Shockingly low monthly payments. Don't miss this opportunity to build the backyard of your dreams. See the latest models in person. 3 days only. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 2 area locations. Salt Lake at Southtown Mall in the Big White Tent and St. George at Washington County Legacy Park. Learn more online at HotTubAndSwimSpaSale.com. HotTubAndSwimSpaSale.com.
A couple years ago, I was in the bathroom at the airport when I dropped my smartphone in the toilet. Not smart. I was multitasking when I should have been focused on the job at hand. Embarrassing, but I'm not alone. According to Google, 7 million other multitaskers accidentally dropped their phones into the bowl last year. A gentle reminder that right now you can get yourself a brand new Samsung Galaxy A36 absolutely free with a $35 plan from Pure Talk. The A36 comes with scratch-resistant Gorilla Glass and a battery that'll last all day, along with unlimited talk, text, and data on America's most dependable 5G network. In other words, it's tough and smart. Something to think about next time you're multitasking and the necessary. Just dial pound 250, say keyword Mike Rowe to get your free phone today. You can make the switch in just 10 minutes. That's pound 250. Say Mike Rowe to switch to a no-nonsense smartphone and a company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
If you need new windows and you live in Utah, there's only one choice. There are other window companies, but they're more expensive, and their windows aren't made in Utah for Utah's ever-changing climate. Advanced Window Products has been building state-of-the-art windows right here in Salt Lake for 39 years. And since they're the factory, they cut out the middleman, and you save 30, even 40% on new windows. Plus, right now, as they book for fall, Advanced Windows will give you $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. They build the windows, install the windows, and guarantee them for life. And since they're right here in Utah, if you have a problem years from now, just call them. They'll come over. Advanced Windows offers 0% financing, buy now, pay later. They're affordable. Get your new windows and get the energy savings before we get to winter. $2,500 off. Call them, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday. Mitch Harper with you. Hope all of you are having a great weekend thus far. 2:25 p.m. here in Salt Lake City at Broadcast House. 3 weeks from today, it's BYU football back in action. Today we got not a glimpse, but got some intel on BYU football as the Cougars wrapped up their first scrimmage of fall camp, and the defense won the day. I think everyone's made that clear. You'll hear from defensive coordinator Jay Hill coming up on the other side. We've kind of hammered out the offensive side of things because everyone's wondering about this quarterback battle. Who will it be? Will it be McKay Halstead? Will it be Bear Bachmeyer? Will it be Trayson Bourget? So we've really dove into the quarterback and offensive side. We'll hit on it a little bit more, but you'll also hear coming up on the other side from defensive coordinator Jay Hill and his perspective of the first scrimmage of camp, and it seemed like a very good day for his defense. And that ties into through 2 weeks of camp now. Cougs are done with the second week of camp. They'll take tomorrow off, and then they'll be back in action coming up on Monday. The cadence of schedules for fall camp is typically a Wednesday off day, Sunday off day, of course, and then the rest of it, they're working hard. And they kind of pivoted more to the mornings, too, this year because they wanted to avoid the excruciating heat around 4 or 5 o'clock. That's when they were typically practicing in fall camp, so they moved it up earlier to avoid that excessive heat. They'll go back to a typical mid-afternoon, late, early evening sort of schedule when school starts for the fall semester. So a little bit of a change up to the schedule and routine, so that's why things have been a little bit earlier for BYU. But some positions of strength through 2 weeks of fall camp, to me, for BYU coming out of this first scrimmage. Number one, the linebacker position. Jack Kelly, Isaiah Glasker, Sialia Serra, an underrated guy that's going to be really good this season that probably is that fourth guy is Che Bryant Strother. He's going to be rotating in and out with Sialia Serra. Fifth guy, Ace Kafusi. Ace Kafusi, he's just complete comfort with the defense now. And it's a cliche thing, but you can just see that when that happens, these players, they're not overthinking. They're playing fast. It's instincts at the linebacker position. Ace Kafusi is showing off the instincts in camp. I think he's looked really good. But that position is a massive strength. You could even go deep in the weeds with the linebacker position. Tyler Payne, Pearson Watson. Those are true freshmen. They don't even need to sniff the field, ideally. Hopefully you don't have to dig in that deep. But that position's in a great spot. And then even further, like next year and beyond, I saw Owen Borg, a return missionary. He was at practice, former Corner Canyon signee. He's 1 month removed from the mission. He'll be around for January. So that position is in great hands for BYU. I'd also add the offensive line. And Kalani talked about it earlier today. He feels they go 12 to 13 deep. He's also noted he feels they have, out of that 12 to 13, 9 guys who could be starters. And, one in particular that I've been really impressed with is Isaiah Jada, left tackle. He will be the guy protecting the blind side for these quarterbacks. And he has not taken any second-team snap. He has been all first-team. Aaron Roderick has teed him up to be the next great left tackle for BYU. And so far, he's looking really good. Today, I'd be curious to really dive into an all-22 film to see how he played, because it sounded like the defensive line was having quite a bit of success. But still, there's some good things trending towards Isaiah Jada as well. Safety, I think, is a position of strength as well. 5 deep comfortably. And then there's some intriguing prospects like a Matthias Leach, someone like that is kind of deep on that depth chart. Kicker is a strength for this team. I think some of the question marks I have are still at quarterback, obviously. Defensive tackle beyond Keanu Tanavasa and John Talmoy Payao, and then the tight end position as well. And if you heard my conversation with Kevin Gilbride, I think there's still reason to kind of sort things out and figure out what's going to be the depth chart of how it lays out for week 1, 3 weeks from now against Portland State at that tight end position. Let's take a break, though, and you'll hear from defensive coordinator Jay Hill next. What worked so well for BYU's defense today in scrimmage number 1 inside LES? Defensive coordinator Jay Hill next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
Everyone needs a checking account, so get the one with built-in benefits to complement your unique lifestyle. Mountain America's My Style Checking has perks no one can pass up. You'll enjoy sizzling restaurant deals, peace of mind mobile phone protection, timely telehealth access, built-in identity protection, and clutch loan rate discounts. Make My Style your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/mystyle. Insured by NCUA. Membership required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost registration or activation. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Connecticut soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, there are several ways, so consider this as part 1 in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means it'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Connecticut is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result, Connecticut delivers perfectly naturally soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Hey folks, it's Jay Broadbent here with Alpine Home Medical, celebrating 28 years of keeping Utah and Idaho comfortable and at home. Back in '97, I started with a truck, a dream, and a lot more hair. Today, we've got 11 stores from Idaho Falls to St. George. From the moment you step into our clean, welcoming showrooms, you'll feel the Alpine difference. Our team will be there to listen and guide you to the best solutions for your needs. We believe that the right equipment can transform lives. We're honored to be a part of your healthcare journey and to help you live the life you deserve. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
911, what's your emergency?
They kidnapped my son.
What would you do if your child disappeared and someone you trusted was responsible?
We thought he cared for McKay, when in fact he didn't care for anyone.
Listen to Ransom now at ransompodcast.com.
Right now at SNS Roofing, get $1,000 off any roof replacement. Plus, you'll get their incredible 50-year worry-free warranty. Dial pound 250 and then say the keyword SNS Roofing for a free bid.
People think saving money is hard, but really, it's easy. It's as simple as changing a few spending habits. For free tips on how to save the easy way, check out feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
911, what's your emergency?
Someone on the other line said they kidnapped my son.
On September 12, 1995, McKay Everett disappeared from his home in Conroe, Texas.
There was no sign of forced entry. It was just as if McKay had walked out of his own free will.
And to this day, McKay's mother, Paulette, feels that justice was never truly served. Ransom is available now. Listen at ransompodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Richie right to the rim, driving score!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Here's your host, Mitch Harper, on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Coming up tonight, make sure to watch me on KSL 5 TV, KSL Sports Live, tonight at 6 o'clock. And tomorrow, 10:45 p.m., I will be making appearances on both KSL Sports Live shows this weekend, talking BYU football and this quarterback battle and the scrimmage and everything that's transpired with BYU football through the first 2 weeks of camp. So make sure to tune in for that, Channel 5, and then, of course, the KSL Plus app. And then we'll have it up, too, on YouTube and whatnot. But 6 p.m. tonight, and then 10:45 p.m. on Sunday, I will be joining Sam Farnsworth, Jeremiah Jensen, and the crew, KSL Sports Live, talking BYU football. So stay tuned for that. Excited for my TV appearance. I'm always kind of torn on that, where I'm like, do I go suit? Do I go shirt and tie like those guys? But I'm also just, the radio host, beat writer. Do I just do the classic polo? Yeah, I went with classic polo. Probably should have done the shirt and tie. I need to get that wardrobe budget like the TV guys. Get the nice suit and tie set up, but make sure to tune in for that on KSL Sports Live tonight. A guy that's probably feeling good going into his weekend right now, at least what it sounds like, coming out of scrimmage number 1 is BYU defensive coordinator Jay Hill. Defense won the day after scrimmage number 1 inside Lavelle Edwards Stadium. It was live work, so the defense was physical, getting after it, and won the day, according to multiple people that we've heard from on that coaching staff. Well, let's hear now from BYU DC, Jay Hill, entering his 3rd season with the program. This was him about an hour ago, speaking with the media after today's scrimmage.
We stayed relatively healthy, which is another huge deal. I thought we were physical up front against the run game, which was a huge bonus. I thought for the first scrimmage, we tackled pretty good. And with the ones, we really didn't give up much in the throw game. So a lot of good there. I see the depth building, which is a huge part of camp. You got to build depth right now, but there's still some twos that got to get better. And we got time, but we need to make some progress. So that's pretty vague and vanilla, but I think that's where we're at.
Hey, Coach. Kalani said you guys had a really good day on defense today. What was it that you did so well in particular? And do you feel like you've started to establish a pecking order at along your depth chart?
Well, I can say this. The defense should be ahead on the first scrimmage normally. We have some veteran guys that have played a lot of football, and I think getting them out there together today was a huge deal for us, and I thought they played well together. We don't have the burden of execution like the offense has and as much, and we don't, because like we could all screw up and the quarterback throw incomplete and no one even knows that we screwed up. And so they still have the burden of execution. There were a couple false starts or penalties that cost them, that had them playing backed up against the chains a little bit today, which helped us. Now our guys responded well and did some good things, but I would say for the first scrimmage, I feel good about where we're at, but we're not content ever, and we're heading in the right direction. I think the biggest thing I took out of today, that when we do things right, we can be stout against the run, and that's a big emphasis of ours off of last year's season to this year's. We got to be a little more stout and more dominant against the run.
This might be a little bit big picture, but I'll try to micro it as much as possible, Coach. Because usually 10 days to 2 weeks, that's where you start getting sort of the live-ish work, the more physical work where the pads are on. And obviously you want your guys on defense to the DBs to go for interceptions, the edge rushers to get after the passer and that kind of thing. But how do you sort of balance that physicality with the offense working as well? Have you kind of started having that conversation of be physical, but also maybe not too physical, but also you want to be physical, if that makes sense?
Well, yeah, no. I love the question. And one thing I love about BYU is Kalani allows A-Rod and I to do what we really need to get done. And working with A-Rod is the best. He understands the big picture. I understand the big picture. And it's just what you said. Like today we needed to tackle. And Coach Roderick had a lot of his guys that needed to get hit. And we needed to hit, because you can't go into game one without having hit. And sometimes we as coaches, we all want to get there with our best guys, but if you get there with your best guys and you pampered them all through camp, then you're not going to be ready either. You're going to get them hurt in the games because the games are going to be too physical. And so it's a fine line between doing what you got to do to be ready to go and not just beating the crap out of them to where you got everyone injured come into the season. So, I think we've handled that well. Like I say, I love working with our offensive staff because I think they're phenomenal. And it's a good mix right now that we've been able to accomplish.
Jay, at the start of camp, you mentioned that the safety group was a dogfight, I think is what you called it, for the starting spots. Has there been any separation? What did today teach you about your safeties group?
Well, I mean, I think there's some separation. I still think there's 5 guys right now that we can win with. There's 2 knocking on the door to join that group of 5. In the 5, I'd feel comfortable with any one of those guys playing. I think right now Tanner Wall continues to be Tanner Wall. Like I just trust him so much. He's the guy that just seems like he's always in the right spot at the right time. And then those next 3 guys, Raider Demooney, Faletau Satawala, Tommy Prasas, those guys show so many signs of just being great players that we'll do a good job of getting those guys all on the field. And flip, we might need to come up with some packages where there's 3 of them out on the field at the same time. And that's not things that we've done that before. Okay. So, I like where we're at in that room. We got to continue to get better, but I think those guys are showing that they're ready to be Big 12 safeties for sure.
Yeah, Jay, your defensive line, obviously Keanu's kind of leading the charge there, but how do you feel those guys performed in the scrimmage just up front?
Hey, Jake. I love Keanu. Um, it's crazy. That kid's so hard on himself. Like, I mean, he just expects perfection. And sometimes I think he needs to just relax a little bit and just allow himself to have fun because he's playing at a very high level. I thought JT played at a very good level today. Those guys are doing some good things. Anisi, I can't wait to get Kirkland back. So we're hoping sooner than later with that. That just really firms us up in there. And then Vil Puha he's a real weapon because he can play on the edge. He's athletic enough to play D end and he's big enough to play inside too. So he does some great things. Maybe one of the places I'm most happy with is our pass rush looks different right now than it did last year. We got some dynamic guys off the edge. Some of those young bucks that we recruited the first years I was here are starting to show up, and I can't wait to watch them in the game because the pass rush looks good right now.
Yeah, I got a quick follow-up real quick on that. Jay, Kalani mentioned the fact that a guy like Bodie Schoonover could slot inside to help you get depth issues at defensive tackle. Are you seeing that yourself? Is he capable of doing what like John Nelson and Blake Mangelson have done in the past?
100%. Him and Vil Pua are both guys that are big enough to play inside. They're physical enough. You know, they're a little undersized, kind of like Blake was last year, but the way Coach Puha and Coach Anderson teach our inside guys, like I'm okay with those guys moving in there. Blake Mangelson played outstanding last year in the Big 12, and he was undersized all year. So I think we're gonna have a good year out of both those guys, and I love Bodie because he plays way stronger than he plays like a 300-pounder, even though he weighs 270.
I just wanted to ask you, in terms of looking at your linebacking core, you got two veteran guys in Isaiah and Jack, but you've mentioned guys like Che Bryant, Struther, et cetera, who are stepping up. I know that Cialia Sarah's done his thing. How deep is that unit looking right now, in your opinion?
No, I just got asked the same question by somebody else, and I think there's 8 deep that we can win with right now. Do I think all 8 are ready to go right now? No. But they've shown signs that either athletically or whatever it is, that if something happens and we got to play with those guys, that we'll be all right. And Che's one of those guys. Siali's one of those guys. Ace Kafusi. I've seen some really good progression in like Max Alford. He's done some good things. And then the future's bright. Now, there's some young guys like Pearson Watson is going to be a really good player. And I really don't love calling guys out because I don't want to miss one. But right now, I love what Coach Enna and Coach Kaha have done with that linebacking crew. And I really believe there's probably 8 guys that come game time we could probably win with.
Thanks, Coach. What did you like about your cornerback play today? A lot of guys in that room had an opportunity to play last year. Evaluate their play after the first scrimmage.
Hey, Ron. So I think before he dinged his shoulder, and he'll be back soon, but I thought Trey Alexander was playing very good. And then Evan Johnson, the last 2 or 3 practices, is really stepping up and proving to me that he's going to be ready to go. I think Maury's the best he's been since we've been here. And past that, we need someone else to step up because I like those 3 guys, but we got to have more than 3. I can say this, there's been flashes by Marcus McKenzie. I thought Jonathan Cabella had a great spring, but we need somebody else to step up in that room.
That's BYU defensive coordinator Jay Hill. Good stuff there from Coach Hill. I think the most noteworthy piece you just talk about the overall performance of the defense from scrimmage, but the D tackle position, and Kalani hinted at this, Viliami Puha and Bodie Schoonover could slide inside in the mold of a John Nelson, Blake Mangelson. I think that's noteworthy because, remember, those were guys, they come as DNs, physically got to add the weight to be maybe that hybrid DN, D tackle. They've done that in the past, too. Remember back in the day, Lorenzo Fauatea. That's always kind of been a thing with this defense. but the personnel is getting better to allow that to happen. But still, Justin Kirkland's absence is significant still with this team as he continues to recover from a knee injury. Let's take a break. We'll bring producer Nate Slack into the studio, and we'll continue to break down the quarterback battle as we close out the show on this scrimmage Saturday here on KSL News Radio.
You hear that? That's Mike sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. That's because Mike was smart this time. He took ZQL Ultra to fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and get the deeply restorative sleep he needs. So now he wakes up refreshed and ready to conquer Mondays.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Ultra. Not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Let's go!
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Comcast Business High Five Hotline. What's the state of your excitement?
I signed my business up for the 5-year price lock guarantee, and I can't stop high-fiving people. High five!
Okay, deep breath.
High five.
You're in a good place. You signed your business up for 5 years of gig speed internet and advanced security, all on our ultra-reliable network.
Gig speeds and advanced security? I'm so stoked.
Yep, and you get it at a great rate that's locked in for 5 years.
Woo!
The high five is just your body's way of saying, I'm winning.
So this is natural.
High-fiving everyone you see in a state of business savings enthusiasm? Totally natural.
Sweet! Thank you! Thank you! High five, everybody! High five!
The Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee is back, but only for a limited time, so sign your business up today.
High five!
Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 9/21/25 for new customers with qualifying bundle. Current customers may be eligible depending on services and area. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Utah deserves better. If you just got a quote on a new furnace or air conditioner and felt like they were pushing you into something big and expensive, you're not the only one. A lot of home service companies here in Utah aren't really local anymore. They've been bought out by private equity groups focused on profits, not people. Here at Your Service Pros, we're different. We're Utah-based, family-owned, and built on trust, not sales quotas. We offer free second opinions on repairs or replacement because most people just want to know the truth. If your system can be repaired, we'll gladly fix it. But if it needs to be replaced, we'll show you your options, including a hybrid system with up to $6,650 in total rebates. We'll make sure you're getting the best price possible, not some inflated quote so our investors can get richer. Your Service Pros has served Utah homeowners for over 20 years, and we're proud to have a 4.9-star rating from families just like yours. So call Your Service Pros today at 801-YOUR-PRO. If you need a free second opinion on your heating, air, plumbing, or electrical, call 801-YOUR-PRO, because Utah deserves better.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Americans may not agree on much, but we agree on Social Security. We all pay in. It ought to be there when we need it. Social Security could face a funding gap in less than a decade, and I don't want to see a pay cut. I'm with AARP in the fight to protect the Social Security we earned.
Pledge to protect Social Security at aarp.org/weearnedit. That's aarp.org/weearnedit. Paid for by AARP.
Cougar Sports Saturday here on KSL News Radio. Mitch Harper and Nate Slack with you. BYU football wrapped up week 2 of fall camp practices. They will be back in action on Monday at the Student Athlete Building. The next media window comes up on Tuesday. So we'll be having some more windows to watch. Feels like it's been a long time since we watched the team, because it was last time we got a window was Tuesday, but still you text people, you get inside and intel behind the scenes, and get that insight about this BYU football team as they're 3 weeks away until kickoff, which you can listen to all of the action here on KSL News Radio, the KSL News Radio app, KSL Sports app. We've got you covered here for BYU football. We've been talking a lot about the quarterback battle today. Three-man race, McKay Hillstead, Trayson Bourget, Bear Bachmeyer, the true freshman. I'm curious, Nate Slack, who's in the studio here with me, follow him on X, Nate Slack 5. What do you want to see out of this battle, Nate? And this is just putting on the cap of, like, just sounding off. What do you want to see, the opinion? Like, you come out of this scrimmage, Kalani and A-Rod are saying no turnovers, and I think within that you got to think how many were close calls. Like, were there any passes that were real on the edge of your seat type moments? Because I think that plays a role too in this. But officially from the coaches, though, they're saying no turnovers. Coming out of that and hearing that insight from coaches today, and now that week 2's done, what do you want to see out of this quarterback battle as we're 3 weeks away till kickoff?
I think the main thing for me is just seeing the quarterbacks hold on to the ball and not turn it over at a crazy rate. And it's been kind of funny because over the last few months, I've switched from thinking it was probably going to be Trayson Bourget to McKay Hillstead, and I think I'm on the Bear Bachmeyer camp now, just because there's so much potential that Bear has as a freshman. I know he went to spring ball at Stanford, so he's been in the college system at least for coming up on a year now. But I think when you take into account the biggest question marks around Bear, at least for me personally, have been how does he know the playbook? Is he on par with the other players? And I imagine he's still a little bit behind just because he hasn't been there for the same time that McKay Hillstead and Trayson Bourget have been. But the comments made by Aaron Roderick last week saying that he's up to par on the offense. He understands what's expected and where guys are supposed to be lined up and the route trees and everything like that.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, and I think you ride with him because he's the younger guy, and if there hasn't been enough of a separation between the two older players and Bear, I think you ride with Bear.
I think it's interesting that, Bear has definitely, I think, people that just looked at it and thought, no way could a true freshman be in the mix here. I think he's put that to bed. But there have been moments, even in media windows, where he has looked like a true freshman, even throwing a interception and holding onto the ball for way too long. And Aaron Roderick has kind of, at times, in the media said that they told him to not take off. And part of me wonders, too, Nate, is he too much wired to just take off and run? Will he be patient enough to stay in the pocket, too? And that's for all these guys. I mean, these are athletes, and I think McKay Hillstead as well. I guess I'm kind of really intrigued, and maybe it's because I saw more of him in high school, McKay Hillstead, but just his ability to kind of take off and run, and then I think he's got pretty good arm strength too. And I look at his years at Utah State, or his 1 year at Utah State, where he goes off for a huge passing day. It was near 400 yards against James Madison with an offensive line that wasn't anything special at Utah State that year. What could he be behind BYU's offensive line? So much is made about Devin Dampier transferred from New Mexico to Utah, now having Utah's O-line to protect him. I think the same could apply to Hillstead. It's just a much smaller sample size with him, whereas Dampier did it over the course of an entire year at New Mexico for a program that honestly has been left for dead. And last year getting to 5-7 was quite an accomplishment for the Lobos. I thought Hillstead, just was dynamic, and I'm really curious to see what he would look like in a game. But the thing is that if Aaron Roderick, and I think with Kalani Sitake, and Jay Hill kind of touched on it, Kalani Sitake gives Aaron Roderick and Jay Hill the autonomy to do what they see fit for their sides of the ball. If Aaron Roderick's got conviction to just go with Bear from the jump, then I guess he does it. And I'm okay with that because I think you've seen moments from Bear where it's like he is very intriguing and he is talented as they come. But if he does have struggles, say against that Stanford team, that he's got intel on them, but they know him too. Does that, and if he has a game where it's like Sam Houston a couple of years ago where you're stuck in the mud, do you make that change? And that's risky with a freshman because then you're talking about the mentals and all that sort of side. Whereas maybe it makes a little more sense in my mind, go with Hillstead, then have Bear right there in line if something goes south. I think that's where I kind of just err on the side of caution with Bear, because if you go to Bear, it almost feels like this is the guy. You're going to ride with him the whole entire season. Struggles or not, you're going with him. Because I don't think you just play the mind games with a true freshman.
Yeah, and they didn't in 2018. You look at that competition between Tanner Mangum and Zach Wilson, and there were a lot of people who thought that Zach Wilson won that battle in fall camp.
No doubt.
But you can't throw him to the Wolves against Wisconsin and Washington.
But the tough thing is there's no spot in the schedule besides week 1 and 2, and probably for a lesser extent, it's a road game, but week 4, East Carolina, where you'd say that's the spot to play him. Like you're not doing the mid-season thing like you did with Zach, where October 18th Utah, no, it's non-starter. Like you're not playing there, and even at Arizona, that's a conference game. So that's what makes it tricky with this battle, and it's just you've got 3 quarterbacks who I think have an argument to be the starter. And I think Trayson Bourget gets sometimes forgotten still in this. He's had moments where I thought the second media window, day 3, I thought he was the best-looking quarterback. So, but to me, it's like I look at Bear and McKay because they're the 2 quarterbacks that have the skill sets that just kind of feel like they align with A-Rod type prospects. And, and McKay Hillstead was a guy that BYU did not pursue heavily out of high school. But then they came around in the transfer portal last year, and then that led to Ryder Burton moving on, and McKay Hillstead joined the program, whereas Bear Bachmeier, they've always wanted him. And he picked Stanford first and then comes around to BYU. So it's a fascinating battle, and it's going to be one that we're all going to be monitoring till kickoff and probably maybe even in season. But to me, Nate, I think they've got to trim it down next week and get this thing trimmed down to 2. Make it clear these are the top 2 guys contending to be that starter.
Yeah, and my favorite part about the quarterback battle, though, is the defense is so good. I feel like they're going to keep BYU in every game.
Good point.
I think the wide receiver room is good. The tight end room has some question marks, but I think the offensive line room is going to be good. LJ Martin's looking awesome this year. And so I think there's enough wiggle room for the quarterback, whoever it is, that the defense will be able to help them out in situations. And with Wolf Aaron, you have to go 27 yards when you get a touchback to get a field goal.
Great insight there. He's Nate Slack, and he was helping put together this show today. If you missed any part of the program, subscribe to the podcast. Just search Cougar Sports Saturday on all your podcasting platforms. We will be back next week to break down week 3 of fall camp closing and getting 1 week closer until the start of the 2025 BYU football season. Check me out tonight on KSL Sports Live on TV. Talk to you next time here on KSL.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City.
From ABC News, I'm Mike Dubusky. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is rejecting a proposal made by President Trump to have Ukraine and Russia exchange territory as a way to end the war, with his office saying a ceasefire is necessary, but the front line is not a border. A meeting between Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin is set for this Friday. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick now says his department is launching an immediate and comprehensive review of Harvard University's federally funded research programs, marking the latest escalation in tensions between the elite university and the Trump administration. In Atlanta, police are trying to figure out why a man, Patrick Joseph White, opened fire near Emory University and the Centers for Disease Control yesterday. WSB-TV spoke with one of White's neighbors.
Not the kind of person I would thought to do that, but stuff happens.
White died from a gunshot wound during the incident. Police say it may have been self-inflicted. A police officer was also killed. The Israeli Security Cabinet is moving forward with a plan put forward by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to expand its operation in Gaza by occupying Gaza City. Israel's former ambassador to the U.S., Michael Oren, says there's division in the country over this move.
I think that the government and the Knesset, of course, has the majority is from the government, and that's going to be supportive of this operation. The IDF has expressed severe reservations about the operation.
Firefighters in at least 10 states are dealing with raging wildfires from California to Colorado, and complicating measures is extreme heat. ABC News meteorologist Jeff Banson.
The heat is shrinking a little bit in the desert Southwest, starting to push into the Pacific coast and even the Pacific Northwest. Places like Spokane, Portland, down towards Medford could see near triple-digit feels-like temperatures as we head throughout the second half of your weekend.
You're listening to ABC News.
The Social Security Administration just announced they are now projected to run out of money 1 year earlier than expected. Benefits could be cut by as much as 23%, and the average person could lose more than $100,000 in lifetime income. This news could significantly change when you file for Social Security. Discover how you could get every penny out of your benefits with a free Social Security analysis from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $300,000 and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-896-9622. This free, customized analysis could help you get every penny out of Social Security. Call 801-896-9622. That number again, 801-896-9622.
Boss Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the Social Security Administration.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Lowe's knows when you're looking for reliability, the right brand makes all the difference. And now, Lowe's is the exclusive home improvement retailer for the Whirlpool water treatment line, including their Wi-Fi softener, under-sink filtration system, and more. With Whirlpool's proven performance and our everyday low prices, better tasting, better quality water is within reach. Shop pro-trusted brands like Whirlpool and more, in-store or online. Lowe's, we help, you save.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're listening to a pre-recorded paid commercial program brought to you by Boss Retirement Solutions.
Saving for retirement is a great start, but it's what you do with this money that really matters. How will you reduce your taxes, generate income, pay for the skyrocketing cost of healthcare, and optimize your Social Security benefits? Welcome to Retirement Solutions Radio with Tyson Thacker and Ryan Thacker from Boss Retirement Solutions. This is where you can count on straightforward and objective advice about the toughest challenges you'll face in retirement today. And now, here are your hosts, Tyson Thacker and Ryan Thacker.
If something happened to you today, if you suddenly fell ill, or if there was an accident and you were unable to make decisions for yourself, would your friends or family know exactly what to do? Or would they be scrambling to figure it all out? Most people are grossly unprepared for a life-changing event, and as a result, they leave a significant mess for their family and friends. Welcome to Retirement Solutions Radio. I'm Ryan Thacker, along with my brother Tyson. We are the Retirement Brothers from Boss Retirement Solutions and Advisors. And, today we have a very special guest, someone who unfortunately knows too much about this subject. Her name is Mary Kelly, and Mary is a U.S. Navy commander, retired, and also a PhD economist, a best-selling author, and an expert in personal and financial preparedness. Mary speaks to capacity crowds all over the country, and she's helped thousands of families get their financial and personal house in order. So today, we're going to just have a great discussion, and she will share why most people retire unexpectedly, how that impacts your finances, the critical documents and information that the people you love most should have, and the biggest planning mistakes that could needlessly cost families a small fortune. So Mary's stories are very powerful. You're going to hear some of those today, and her advice is practical. And she brings a lot of humor to a topic. In fact, just off the show, we were already joking around, so this is going to be a fun show. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that this very serious topic, most of us can avoid it until it's too late. And so, Mary, welcome to the show. It's so great to have you here.
Folks, I am so delighted to be talking about this topic, and we are going to make it work in a way that works for you.
Love this.
So thank you, Mary. Couple of questions on this first piece. We'd like you to share a little bit more about your life than what Ryan shared, how you got here today, and then who will benefit from listening to the show today.
So first off, if you're listening to this show today, it means that you care about what's going to happen in the future. Planning is critical to making sure that it's a when, not an if, when we are suddenly incapacitated or dead, that the right things happen at that moment in time. And that's why I'm here today.
Well, we love this. Can we hear a little bit more about your story, Mary? Let's hear what brought you to this point. You've got, what a background.
I was raised in Dallas, Texas. I went to the Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, was very fortunate to get into the Naval Academy. I was able to serve 21 years on active duty as a commissioned officer after that, as intelligence and logistics arenas were suddenly becoming more and more important. I spent 17 years in Asia. That's where I met my first husband. He was a Marine who was then a civilian working as a reservist. So think about that. There's two military officers living together, and in the military, we make sure when people go on deployments, you have your will done. We have certain forms in the military in case something happens. So I thought we were prepared because we had the will, we had the trust, I had the powers of attorney. I thought, I'm good, that's all I need. And then he was suddenly diagnosed with cancer in August, and 55 days later, he was dead.
Oh my goodness.
It was very fast. It was a very fast-moving cancer called multiple myeloma. They think it's probably from Agent Orange from Vietnam, but who knows? And the issue was, I thought I was prepared. Now, I was still working. I was still on